Hello guys, it's your boy, Goosebumps Gen, aka Jojo Wasaki, back with another video guys, you know it. Anyways guys, here I'm about to do another video. It's another video about myself, and it's about how I got into horror. Okay, how I got into horror, well basically I was raised in horror. I used to go visit my grandmother, my dad's mother, every summer in Syracuse, New York. And like I said before, I grew up in a family where my aunts loved horror movies, both my aunts, and my grandmother loves horror films and sci-fi and science fiction. And so when I walked into my house, my grandmother's house, you used to have to be either like you had to get in like the horror, like you couldn't walk 5 feet in front of you in the living room to see something horror related, like a DVD, a book, a VHS. Doesn't matter which. It could have been anything. My grandfather even had 2 old horror film posters of the Wolfman and I believe Dracula in the house somewhere. Also, my grandparents, my dad and myself later, and my dad were hunters, so I grew up with deer heads, buck heads on the wall in one of the rooms. So if that didn't scare you, nothing else. Wasn't scary. That was pretty much anything. So yeah. Plus, it got really, really dark at night at my grandparents' house, my grandma's house in Syracuse, New York, where a lot at night. So it was kind of weird. Anyways. But how I got into horror was basically I grew up in a horror family. How I started watching horror, my first horror themed show I ever watched was Goosebumps, and then I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, and then I started watching Buffy around the age of 6, 7. So all the sex jokes went through my head. Honestly was not that scared of Buffy for some reason at 7 years old. Don't know how I wasn't, just wasn't scared. Buffy is supposed to be really scary. Another show I used to watch was Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now that did scare me. Courage the Cowardly Dog scared me in one scene, in one episode only, and that was Return to the Slab episode. But believe it or not, either Eustace or Courage, I think it's Eustace, finds a tombstone or something of King Ramses or King whatever it is, an Egyptian king mummy, and he steals the stone, the tombstone slab, and his ghost comes up and it's just like, return the slab. Scared the absolute living shit out of me. I remember hiding under my couch, which my couch wasn't very good hiding place because I could still see a little bit through the couch a little bit. So what I did was I would speak out, make sure he was gone, and I would continue watching the episode. That video went on for about 2 months every time I saw the episode until I just faced my fears and realized it's not that scary. Anyways, my first actual horror film had to be I had On Demand when I got On Demand, Xfinity On Demand when I was what, 8? No, 7 or 8. So I started watching horror on then, and my first horror movie was a little very little old 1980s film called Demons, the Night of the Demons, which is basically it was a supernatural slasher horror film. And what had happened was basically these people were at a haunted house these teenagers at a haunted house, and they're throwing a Halloween party on Halloween night, and the house has a history in their town of being haunted and stuff, and like the owner of the house made a deal with the devil and there's demons and blah blah blah. But no one believes the story. And basically, someone accidentally releases the demons by playing either they opened the furnace door which was holding the demons, or they played a game of Ouija. I don't remember which one. What happened? And basically, the demons start possessing people, killing people, and then basically it ends up with only two people left at the end of the one person left at the end of the film. And the way she gets out is she technically hungs herself. They made a remake in the early 2000s of the film. But it's the remake does nowhere does justice to the original. I'm sorry. The original had a very good ending, and I like the original to this day. It was my first horror movie. My first slasher movie, technically, if you want to count it not supernatural, was Scream. And Scream is not supernatural, it's just weird. The first one was weird. Then I watched Chucky. Now, fun fact, I didn't watch Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, which would today be my two favorite slasher film series. Until high school, until my freshman year of high school, I had watched Friday the 13th Part 1, because what happened was that my high school, there was someone in my school, I think he was a sophomore, I believe, and or a junior, I don't know which, I think he was a junior, and he needed surgery, so my school was getting together with a bunch of other people's families and the parents' family, and they were having a horror movie night. It was weird, because it was way past Halloween. It had to have been it was like the middle of winter, so it was like January, let's say, I think it was January. They were starting at 6 o'clock and then ending at 1 in the night. And they had about 5 tickets, $5 per ticket. And they were raising enough money to go to the people. And it was being screened in the auditorium. And the movie list for that night was, I believe, Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's how it went. Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th was last, and Nightmare on Elm Street number 1 was first. That's when I was first introduced to that series, to Nightmare on Elm Street. My first film I ever saw that was in theaters of the slasher was The Strangers. I already told you that story, but I'll tell it to you again. For many of you who don't know, Strangers came out in 2008. I was about 10. I was 10. No. I was 11. I was 11 in 2008. Because I had a mitzvah in 2010. Literally, no, that was the first horror movie I saw in the theaters. It was rated R. My Aunt Mary Beth, who's one of my favorite aunts to this day, besides my Aunt Anne Marie. I have a lot of aunts, but on different families, trees, and shit. My Aunt Mary Beth took me to go see it with her at our theater. At the time when I lived in Chicago, I went to the Regal Theater and not Cobb, because the Regal was the big theater in Illinois and not Cobb, because I have never remember going to a Cobb theater in Illinois. I remember going to an AMC theater, never a Cobb theater. It was weird. And then we went to the best thing about the Illinois I lived in, there was a theater that had no affiliation. It was just a movie theater, and it was like the old movie theaters, they had no affiliation before they had companies, and it was just it had few theaters, a very good popcorn, and it gave me the real appreciation of the cinema, that theater. I remember going seeing a TNT to see in there and seeing Star Wars Episode 3. To this day, I remember seeing those two films in there. And I believe I saw a bridge Bridge to Narnia, or not Bridge to Narnia, whatever the one is, where it's Spiderwick Chronicles. Spiderwick Chronicles. I'm seeing it there too. Anyways, back to the video. So I want to go see Strangers 2, Part 8, Strangers 1 with my aunt. And I remember going there, and I was loving every minute of it. And my aunt kept checking in like every 5-10 minutes. Like, are you alright? Are you alright? I'm like, I'm fine. It's not my first rodeo, Aunt Mary Beth. I remember saying to her, it's like, okay. After I think like the first 5-10 minutes of the film, or first 35 minutes of the film, she stopped checking on me. But she's like, yeah, he's not gonna get scared. Anyways, I didn't get scared, by the way. And the woman, so anyways, by about, I said an hour and 15 minutes in, and it's an hour and 35-minute movie, I believe, something like that. Half the theater was gone, half the theater, because they had left it up because it just started to get really fucked up. It was me, my aunt left, me and my aunt, a gentleman on a date with his girlfriend, and another guy, a fat guy, who at the time I was kind of chubby, not fat. I'm fat now, but I was chubby then. A very fat guy in the way back. We were about fourth row from the screen, or fifth row from the screen, and it was just us five people in that room. Yeah, me and my aunt, the guy and his girlfriend on a date, and the guy over there, and the fat guy in the back. That was the only people in. Technically, we want kind of projectionist too, but he's not really watching the movie. He's just running the projector. But yeah, those are the people left. It was a great film. Yeah, and that's how I got into horror, basically. By growing up in a grandparents' house that had horror everywhere, and just going to the cinema and renting videos from Family Video Store. I rented Scream, all the Scream films and all the Chucky films up to that point from the Family Video Store. And yeah, that's how I got into horror. To this day, my favorite genres of horror are slasher and supernatural genres. I also like zombie films too. Zombies are my favorite other type of horror films. I'm not big into body horror and stuff like that, but other than that, yeah, that's my favorite type of genre of horror. That's how I got into horror, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already.